Well, okay, so let's zoom out for a minute. So if we go back to 2021, Coinbase, we wanted to become a public company. We described everything about our business, the assets that we list on our platform, how we do staking, and the SEC at that point allowed us to become a public company. And fast forward, a year later, we started to hear some conflicting statements from the SEC, the CFTC. Generally, when we hear updated information from regulators, we go in and we talk to them. We say, great, if the rules have changed, how can we adjust? And an example of that was they said XRP we think might be a security. We said, okay, we want to act in good faith. We'll delist it. We don't know if it's a security or not, and that court case is still playing out. But we want to be collaborative and work with regulators. And then something shifted about a year ago. A totally different tone started to happen, and we kind of got this information from the SEC that, well, actually, we think everything other than Bitcoin is a security. And we kind of said to ourselves, well, that's not our understanding of the law. How are you coming to this conclusion? And we were sort of met with silence, right? We did a series of meetings with them, probably 30 meetings over the last 12 months, where they asked us every question under the sun. We kind of, told them everything we could about our business, but we didn't really get clarity from them about how we could come in and register, which assets they had a concern with, why there's contradictory statements between them and the CFTC. We didn't really get any feedback from them. And suddenly we got this Wells notice and then the complaint that was filed yesterday. So basically we're in this environment of, regulation by enforcement. I don't feel like there's a clear rule book. The only sort of high level statements they've made is that everything other than Bitcoin is a security, which that's just not what it says in the law. And by the way, that would also kind of mean like the end of the crypto industry in the US if that was actually what happened. And so we have to go to court to challenge that. We're proud to do it for the industry.
In recent weeks, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the rest of the crypto market have been highly volatile, more so than usual. This is largely due to the US financial watchdogs and the SEC, which have turned their sights on Binance and Coinbase, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, with lawsuits. These regulatory bodies accuse Coinbase of dealing in unregistered securities, implying they sold cryptocurrencies without the necessary permissions. The allegations against Binance are even more serious. They face charges of money laundering, fraud, and dealing in unregistered securities. These are just some of the much more serious legal challenges faced by their CEO, CZ, and the company. Banks globally are reacting to these accusations. Many have severed ties with Binance, Coinbase, and even general cryptocurrency transactions, disrupting key points of entry and exit into the cryptocurrency market. This has dealt a heavy blow to crypto prices as concerns mount over the future developments. One individual particularly upset by this situation is Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, who has been virtually pleading with the SEC and US regulators to offer clear guidelines for the crypto industry and instructions on how these platforms can balance the complexities of cryptocurrency. Adding to the frustration is the fact that the SEC had given Coinbase the green light to go public with an IPO in 2021, endorsing their business activities. Now, they seem to be backpedaling and retroactively penalizing exchanges for their past business practices. The US seems to be mishandling the unique opportunities and innovation that the cryptocurrency market can bring to its economy. Brian Armstrong hinted at this when he mentioned that Coinbase is considering moving their headquarters and operations to England, a country that appears to be more friendly and transparent toward cryptocurrencies in their lawmaking. In his latest public interview, Brian had this to say about the SEC's recent actions and his thoughts on the Coinbase vs. Binance lawsuits and why he believes they are drastically different.
Yeah, well, there are certainly crypto securities out there. In fact, Coinbase has reviewed well over 1,000 different assets. 90% of them we've rejected, right? Because we thought some of them could be securities, or we had other concerns about them. So we've really only listed a very conservative, small number of the assets out there. And so I agree with the statement. There's a lot of crypto securities out there. In fact, I would like there to be a robust, healthy market for people to trade crypto securities in the US. I think this is one more area where crypto could help update the financial system around capital formation. And we should make it easier for people to raise money for their company or for something they want to build in the world, and those should be issued and registered as crypto securities. We filed a petition formally with the SEC to try to get clarity about how that could happen. We acquired a broker-dealer license, which is dormant because we haven't found a way to activate it with the SEC. So I would like there to be a robust market for trading crypto securities. The 10% or less of assets that we've reviewed that we did decide to list, we feel that those are crypto commodities. And so They don't need to be registered and traded with under an SEC license. Anyway, with every asset we've listed on our platform, we did extensive diligence. We did I think it was like a 72-point legal analysis. We rejected 90% of the assets. Every asset we decided to list, we felt there was a strong argument that it was a commodity, and that's what we're going to go to court to win on. Our goal with this court case is to begin to get clarity for the industry, not just for us, but for the whole industry, honestly for America, so that it doesn't fall behind in this area. And so if we get any kind of clarity from the court, regardless of the outcome, honestly, I think it would be a step in the right direction. But we feel strongly all of the ones that we listed there, since we took a pretty conservative approach, they are commodities. The example is that in crypto, for many of these assets, there is no common enterprise or central authority that would be responsible, say, for issuing disclosures or something like that. Like the Ethereum network, there's not any one group that controls it. It's decentralized, right? And so we actually, we put out this petition to the SEC. People can Google it if they want. I think it's Coinbase petition to the SEC. You can kind of read it. And we actually, a lot of these are really technical legal questions, but there's about 40 different areas where we felt like the current law was a little unclear on this. Like, decentralization, utility, what does that mean in context of open source software, right? Who would issue the disclosures if there's not a common enterprise, right? So there's a lot of open questions like that, which we don't feel have been answered, and that's the kind of clarity that we help today. I created this company in the United States because I believe it's a big market, but there's rule of law, and there's a willingness to generally do the right thing, even if it takes a few iterations. So we are going to continue to be in the U.S. We're going to be the leader in the U.S. The U.S. is going to get to the right outcome, whether it's through the courts, Congress, the CFTC. Something is going to come to fruition, or maybe the 2024 elections will change this. America has a way of healing, right? Like, if the winds blow this way and then 4 to 8 years later, they kind of blow the other way. And eventually we get to the right outcome, even if it takes a while. At the same time, while we're going to be the leader in the US, we're going to be a multinational. We have entities in all the major financial hubs, or many of them at this point. And I want to be an American company that has a global footprint about any other companies in the space, but I'll just talk about Coinbase. So there were no allegations in our complaint about misappropriation of customer funds or wash trading. There was no naming of me or the executive team personally. It really was just a question on this technical matter of are these securities or commodities? And I guess it's also important to note, as you said earlier too, I mean, Coinbase is based in the US, we're a public company, so that means we have strict requirements around, for instance, like audited financial statements. So when we say that customer funds are segregated and they're backed one-to-one, you don't have to take our word for it. Our external Big Four auditing firm is looking at that. Clarity about the market structure and how the CFTC and the SEC are both going to regulate this industry. What are the boundaries? I think we also need to just bring in some basic consumer protections, which are around wash trading prevention, AML, KYC, having audited financial statements. These are just kind of best practices that can come over from traditional financial services and be applied to crypto. And then I think we also need to get a little bit more clarity about stablecoins, because that's been a really big use case and area of growth for crypto. And so there's still a little bit of lack of clarity there about how issuance works and things like that. So it's actually not rocket science. This is just applying some of these really basic common sense ideas to the industry. And then once we have that legislation in place, I think we'll start to see some of the entrepreneurs who've left the US come back and say, okay, I feel that we're not just going to be attacked randomly or have incredibly high legal bills at any given moment, and we can actually build a business here in the US again.
So there you have it, Brian Armstrong's viewpoint in response to the allegations made against Coinbase by the SEC and US regulators. It's easy to see why Brian is upset. He's been urging for collaboration with the SEC and US regulators to establish clear rules for integrating cryptocurrencies with conventional finance. A particularly vexing aspect of his situation is the SEC's apparent flip-flop. They greenlit Coinbase's public stock offering in 2021, essentially endorsing their business model. However, now they appear to be penalizing the firm for its past actions. The US stands to lose the advantages that the cryptocurrency space can provide. Brian's indication that Coinbase might relocate its headquarters to England, a country more open to cryptocurrency, accentuates this risk. But guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Brian's frustration is justified, or do you believe it's completely okay for Coinbase to face consequences for laws not enforced at the time? Regardless, it's clear that the legal tug-of-war between government entities and cryptocurrency organizations and exchanges will persist for years to come. Anyway guys, hope today's video provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.